Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to have a look at the shovel head again, because if you watch the primary side strip, and please go and have a look if you haven't seen it, it's on the playlist. When I took the clutch apart, I pulled out the clutch push rod, and then luckily people who know more about Harleys than I do pointed out that you shouldn't be able to take that out. It should be attached to an oil slinger at the other end of the gearbox. So, having received that information, I went and checked out the parts book. And as my understanding is, the push rod goes through the clutch centre, through the gearbox, and then there's an oil slinger attached, and then a washer, a pancake, what they call it, radial roller release bearing, another washer, and then some form of clip, probably an E-clip looking at the book, which holds it all together, which is what's meant to stop it coming through. Now I have pushed the rod back in, but I've no idea which bits are still attached. Certainly not the E-clip, or it wouldn't have come out in the first place. Highly unlikely to be the washers and the bearing, because they're very small. Possibly the oil slinger. And even that, it would be really, really lucky if I'd managed to line it up so the rectangular hole in the oil slinger met the push rod tube. So I'm going to take it apart and have a look, which is what we're going to do today. So today's video will be fairly short, and we're just going to get in there and have a look. As usual, access is fairly tight. I may get in your way slightly, I apologise if I do. So let's get on with it. It's pretty much ready to go. Okay, so I've taken off the exhaust. The battery tray, which sits here, was already off because I needed access to the starter motor when I was doing the primary. I've backed off the adjustment, and the cable fits into the end of that under there, which you won't be able to see. So I'm assuming then that all I've got to do is undo the ring of bolts. There should be no oil in there. And take this end cover off, which will give me access, and see what I've got. That's the plan. This appears to be a mounting plate for, I'm assuming, the mid-mounts when they were fitted rather than floorboards. And then that's a support plate for the battery tray, but otherwise it is just undo the ring and nuts. So let's get stuck in. So 1/2 inch. Well, I can't get in there. Let's see if we get. There we go. Anyway, you don't want to see me undo all these bolts, so I'll bring you back when they're done. Right, 9 bolts off. I just hasten to add, this isn't all dirt, by the way. This is that crinkled black paint. Some of it's dirt. Crinkled black paint, which has been applied to the motor, which I really, really don't like, and is very hard to get off. Anyway, so they're all undone. So I'm hoping come on. Sticking on the studs. Come on. There we go. Now then, I wasn't expecting oil because it's been draining for some time. Right. Okay. So first thing is I'm going to need a gasket. There's the inside of the cover. That must be the release bearing, which it is, which is the older type. Right. So, unless I have misread the parts book, there's our push rod. Yep. There's nothing in there at all. Right. I'm going to have to get the parts book out again, because this is not what I was expecting to see. Right, I don't know how clear this is going to be, but this is my parts book, which is marked clutch to early 1984. And that's what I was expecting to see, which is the oil slinger, washer, bearing, washer, E-clip. Now, what my parts book doesn't show, and I should have looked more closely, is that those parts, if you bear with me 1 second, 17, there we go, oil slinger, 37228-75, which of course means it's a late 75 part fitment, and my bike's a 73. So the bits I was expecting to find and the bits people had commented on are not fitted to my bike. So it looks like everything on the bike is correct, but we'll take a closer look now. So there's our release bearing, which is pretty much unmarked really. It doesn't feel rough. I'd reuse that, and in fact I'm going to reuse that. And there's our push rod, which has a chamfered end which fits in there, and it doesn't go through far enough to have any sort of clip to hold it in place. So it must just sit like that. Now, I have looked online since I discovered this, and I found somebody in Europe stocking these kits. And again, there's no clip or anything like that involved in it. So it would appear that the fitment is correct for my Year bike, and you can pull the push rod in and out from the clutch side, because there's nothing holding it on these ones. Now, if anyone knows any different, please let me know. But from what I have seen, and sadly I can't find a parts book which shows my year's fitment. I can only find one which shows the later fitment, 75 on. But yeah, I can't see any way that that could have a clip on it. It doesn't go through far enough for there to be a clip. And there is no groove machined into the push rod either. So I'm going to oil it all back up again and put it back with a new gasket on the cover, because I think it's correct for my year. I could upgrade to the later version, but frankly I see no point. The clutch was operating perfectly well, and there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with that release bearing. No, it wasn't making any noises or anything, so I'm not going to spend the money. Right, the gasket's arrived. There's a thin smear of gloop on the case, nothing too drastic, and a little bit on the gasket itself, ready for the outer cover. Nothing too heavy. There we go. In fact, I might have to fill in a little gap there. Right, so it's going. Right, the release bearing. I'm just going to pump a little bit of oil in because it dried out when I cleaned it. Lovely. And our push rod tube could also benefit from a bit of oil. Good. I've also cleaned up the black paint that was all over it, which I didn't like at all. So that can go on like that. No, we can't. So that must be out of line slightly. Right. So the release bearing obviously has a cutout, which I assumed had to fit round that, but I thought it would self-centre. But maybe it won't, so let's try again. Yeah, that definitely goes on there. Right, let's give it another go. I'm going to have to get in your way again for a second, sorry. Try it that way. Yeah, there we go. Very good. Right. I just need to put the nuts and bolts back on around the edge. I'll clean that first though. Which you don't need to see again because it's just a straightforward nut and bolt job. Put the cable back on, adjust it back out, and hopefully that will be it. So I'll bring it back in a second. Right, so that's it on and adjust it up. Everything's tight. Now, gearbox oil. There's an awful lot of stuff online about shovelhead gearbox oil. Obviously I'm a newcomer to shovelheads and I've got no idea what's best. But a lot of the stuff in the USA seems to suggest moving up to an 85-140, which I've got here. Now it should take 24 fluid ounces, but there's also a great deal of information saying that you can drop that. Some people have dropped it to 18 fluid ounces. I think I'm going to try 20 as a sort of compromise, because apparently that's enough to keep it lubricated. It helps cut down leaks, as does the heavier grade. So we'll just give it a go. So 20 is 600ml, so I'll just measure out 600ml in my little container. Oh, that's gloopy, look at that. My word, like treacle. And we'll just see what effect it has on things like the gear change as well. This could be too thick for the UK, I don't know. But there's only one way to find out, isn't there? Obviously, given the usage this bike gets, i.e. it's a plaything, again, the slightly lower amount probably won't make any difference anyway because it's not going to be hurtling down motorways in boiling hot conditions. So we shall see, we'll give it a go. Right, so, oh dear, that's not started well, has it? Have to get a funnel. Right, so that's it for this video. You don't want to see me fill it up with oil. I won't be putting the exhaust and things back on just yet because I want to have a look at the oil pump, oil pressure release valve, and also the anti-drain valve, the anti-wet sump valve. That's unlikely to be another video because I'm hoping it's just a straightforward pop it off, have a look, clean it up, stick it back together. If I find any problems, I'll do a video. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll report how this goes at some point in the future.